our next presenter is ready. Leena Bokil from India.
Yes. Hello.
All right. Maybe I just share a little bit. Oh, I love the radiance, right? That left-handed people are also very creative, and the environment speaks for itself. Unlike Mr. I'm going to just share a little bit about you. For him, because it was a personal journey, I needed him to speak through it. But for you as an active member and trustee of Association of Left-handers India, we are thankful that today you're going to share with us about designing ambidextrous gadgets and present scenario and future opportunities. And as a postgraduate in telecommunications engineering from Edinburgh University in the UK, and an expert in space technology, you have been indeed a teacher, a researcher of avionics for many years. That is exciting. And we are also encouraged that you are a recipient of several prestigious awards. And as we have mentioned, I'm sure many students are inspired also by the journey that you have taken. And, as someone who has also had an impact in the International Space University in France, of course, and you have trained at the Marshal Space Flight Center, NASA, Huntsville, USA. It definitely is not just you being colorful, but it's a colorful journey and career that you have taken. And just the last point, you've been organizing programs with pre-primary and primary schools, as well as other organizations, of course, to impart knowledge about left-handedness. And this has been a journey of decades. So we are going to surely be honing from this experience, this exposure, and also being intergenerational about it. To be able to go to preschool, to primary school, and then be in the NASA and other related spaces, it's quite a leap. So may you then go ahead and share with us.
Thank you very much, ma'am. Namaste from India. Good afternoon, good evening to all our viewers in India, to our audience abroad, overseas, global audience. I'm a proud left-hander. I'm born left-handed. And since I'm an engineer, I always came across gadgets and so many instruments. And therefore, I have dealt with so many equipment and components, gadgets in the electronics, electrical laboratory to aviation and space. So my journey has been in engineering field, and then of late I'm into more of theoretical physics like cosmology, astronomy, astrophysics, but of course space engineering. So I will talk from my experience because I'm left-handed, and Bipin has been the founder president. I started my journey in the Association of Left-Handers since decades when I came over to Pune, and I have known him as a researcher, and his urge to create awareness about left-handers, left-handedness is amazing, and that has also inspired me to be connected with this Association of Left-Handers Pune. So I will talk about my experience, my journey, and also what we do have nowadays in the ambidextrous, as in ambidextrous equipment and gadgets in aviation, in engineering, in all walks of life, and my experience also in space flights and spacecraft also, what I have come across. So like I said, mine is not much of research based, but it is from observation, from my own experience. And this is basically the disclaimer. So it's not based on any kind of research, but it is observation also and my own experience. So I'll share my PowerPoint presentation that I have created today. Just a moment. as we all spoke about handedness and the preference that we use either left or right hand. So most of us today who have joined are left-handed, or either left-handed or ambidextrous or mixed-handed. And so while using simple, tools like toothbrush, scissors, comb, knife, chopper, computer mouse, so on and so forth, I have had difficulties since childhood. So I had to use my right hand, and we are given right-handed scissors, and we use. So always during child craft and, drawing craft and such stuff, I was struggling in my childhood. Only nowadays we get since a couple of decades ago we have seen left-handed scissors, but then we also observe that, like, when I go to a shop and if I go to buy a left-handed scissor, it is pretty costly. Like, if for example right-handed scissors is costing 100 rupees, then you may get for a double price like left-handed scissors for 200 rupees, so on and so forth. So my view is, in this particular session, I take the opportunity to uh, you know uh, reach out to the industry guys, and we want to make left-handed scissors, but even the other gadgets, and they should come at a very reasonable cost. So I also used to struggle with the peeler, but my dad gave me one left-handed peeler. So these are my pair of hands. In some newspaper on Left-Handers Day somewhere, this had appeared in newspaper. So okay, this left-handed peeler for the fruit or vegetables, this is very convenient, because in kitchen or in like even laboratory, I have always struggled with the tools, because simply because they are made for right-handers, and then I need to compulsorily use my right hand. And in this way, I also learned one thing, that left-handers learn to adapt quickly. We accept, there's lot of acceptance among left-handers, so we quickly try and use right hand. So in this way, though I'm a natural left-hander, maximum number of tasks I do with left hand, but I also learned in these past few years, I have learned to use my right hand as well for so many things. But also I may end up with some difficulty and inefficiency. But then this is like in garden or in kitchen or in laboratory, or because I said I'm a left-hander, I do have a toolkit. If there is a uh, problem with any tap or plumbing task, or whatever, electrical or any pipe or plumbing, such difficulties, so I always try to have my own set of left-handed tools. So even before the plumber comes or electrician comes, I need to fix things with my own hand. So this way, like, I either used my right hand when I didn't have a left-handed tool, but nowadays we do get these tools, hammer, this was the screwdriver, the hammer, and also when I went to learn music, and Indian traditional veena is the national instrument, musical instrument, and a derivation of that is the famous sitar. Pandit Ravi Shankar sir's, academy also encourages students, musicians and the beginners to use left hand for learning musical instruments. So be it in the laboratory, or be it in the kitchen or garden, or even musical instruments or hobbies like this, I've always, initial years I struggled, but then I accepted that I'm a left-hander and I need to use right hand. Or nowadays we have many more tools and gadgets, and shops also give us all these, they provide us with the ambidextrous tools these days. And since my journey has been from electronics and electrical laboratory to aviation, that is from 0 kilometer above the ground, that is simple modest electronics lab, then to aviation, that is 40,000 feet where airplanes fly, and then space happened. So in aviation field, I have observed one thing, that we do have a lot of stuff for left-handers or ambidextrous people. So the aviation sheet metal snips left-handed cutter is also available, which is a good thing, and it's a relief. And coming to the most exciting part, aviation, I did not fly as a pilot, but a little bit hobby and light flying. I have done parasailing, paragliding, stuff like that. But also sitting in the cockpit and in the simulator, I have observed one thing, that if a pilot is left-handed, then he or she tends to use both hands pretty easily. So for the right-handed pilot, it is much more difficult to overcome that, because they are using right hand everywhere. And we all know that 90% of the population is right-handed. So many tools are made, maximum tools, gadgets, equipment, they are made for the right-handers. But then sitting here in an airplane, and typically if you sit in an Airbus 320 cockpit, the configuration is like this. You will notice that the flight sticks, there are like joysticks. So they are used to control the airplane, and they aren't centered in front of the pilot, but they are at the side sticks. So they are located at the left side. If the captain is sitting like this in the cockpit, the left hand side is the sticks, and at the right hand for the first officer. So it is like, through my experience, and when I meet pilots, recently, in fact, at the aviation gallery, I met Amit ji. He's a pilot, so he's a left-hander. So we were discussing, and I found out from him as well. So the using the sticks, the joystick, like equipment for controlling the airplane, the left side for the captain. So when he is the captain, when he's flying the airplane as a captain, it is at the left side. So it's pretty much easy for him. But then when he is a co-pilot or first officer, then it is at the right side. So he says it's a bit difficult, but then it all comes through practice. That is what I want to emphasize, that we engineers, especially left-handed engineers, learn to adapt quickly, adjust, and we incorporate this, and it comes through practice. So whether it's left hand or right hand, we struggle initially and there are challenges, but it comes through practice. And also the pilot needs to have good reflexes. So the command on both hands is equally important. And therefore at this juncture, I would like to say that for the left-handers who are right brain dominant, therefore we are more in the creative side. But then as a left-hander and as ambidextrous person, or a person who has adjusted to the right-handed world, and we use both brains or both hands, so it is pretty much easy to adjust quickly. Therefore for pilots, there is nothing like left-handed or right-handed gadget. It is mostly they are ambidextrous tools, but then it's pretty much easy with the left hand. So you can see in the pictures. Therefore, I collected a few pictures. And also when we are playing computer games, or in case of computers and IT, we do get nowadays ambidextrous joysticks. Earlier, it was only possible for right-handers to play pretty easy, and it is very favorable for the right-handers. But we do have many gadgets, they are ambidextrous these days. For when it comes to electronics, technology, whether it's mechanical engineering in a workshop or in aviation, or also now I'll also come to the spacecraft equipment. So when spacecraft or spaceflight equipment is considered this topic, it is generally designed to be functional for both right-handed and left-handed individuals. Therefore, some of the tools and interfaces might be more and more convenient. They say they are more convenient and intuitive for left-handed astronauts. So coming to my favorite part, the astronauts, like we know, and we may have heard, some of you may have heard that in Apollo missions or in astronautics, we come across many pilots who have now become astronauts. It is the pilots who are trained and with special training and skills, they become astronauts. So there is actually no inherent bias towards right-handedness or left-handedness in case of spacecraft and space flight hardware design and devices. However, they say that in aviation and aerospace, many of the engineers claim, or they also tell me through their experience, and I've met some of them, they say that we encourage nowadays ambidextrous use of equipment and devices, gadgets. However, we find so many pilots and astronauts who are left-handed as well. So I have met some of them, the left-handed spacecraft, space engineers, rocket scientists, and some of you may have heard in NASA's Apollo space program, especially, they say that out of the 12 Apollo astronauts, there were 8 to 9 of them were left-handers, or I will not say totally left-handed, but we could say they have been ambidextrous. So it's a common observation in aviation and space industry, or amongst engineers and scientists, that either left-handed or ambidextrous engineers, space engineers, are quite common. So it is probably because we left-handers adapt to changes, and easily we are versatile, so that flexibility is there. Therefore we can easily be trained and experienced working as ambidextrous or with the ambidextrous equipment. More often than not, it is the left-handers who can easily use the right hand. If you ask a right-hander, can you use left hand for this task? No, they find it difficult. But I, as a left-hander, I have experienced that many of the tasks in day-to-day activities as well, brushing my teeth, combing my hair, I have adapted, and some conscious efforts also have put in, and therefore I use right hand. Therefore I use left brain also, quite common. So therefore I have become, or I'm trained or programmed, I've programmed myself as an ambidextrous person, though I'm totally left-handed, or earlier in my childhood I was a complete left-hander perhaps, but now I'm more ambidextrous than ever before. So this is what I have observed among aviation and space scientists and engineers as well, that due to this, owing to this flexibility and versatility, we can easily adapt to using the ambidextrous equipment that we find easily in the spacecraft, on board the International Space Station. You take a space shuttle, for example, or any spacecraft, there are more ambidextrous devices and gadgets than you find anywhere else. So it is the spacecraft and also airplanes where we find ambidextrous devices quite commonly. So I had the honor of meeting astronaut Neil Armstrong when he was 80 years old. I mean, I had attended International Space Conference in Orlando, Florida. So when I met the real life hero, I realized that I didn't ask him directly. We didn't have much time to interact. But you can see in this picture, he's eating breakfast, and many told me that he would eat with both hands, or fork with left hand, or eating with munching something, so with left hand. And also while using the instruments and gadgets in the spacecraft, it is said that he was ambidextrous and he used very fluently and efficiently this equipment. Perhaps this is the reason why he was picked up as the first man to land on moon, and he created history when he walked on moon, and the Apollo 11 mission made him a real life hero. So Neil Armstrong, many told me, I didn't ask him directly, we hardly interacted, but I met him. That was a real big moment for me. So among left-handed astronauts who have served or worked with NASA, Neil Armstrong has been one of them. And most of the astronauts, like we all know, they are trained to work with both hands, and therefore they can handle stuff pretty easily under microgravity and zero gravity conditions. Why? Because when you are in space and everything is floating, so if a screwdriver is at the left side of your hand, then you need to use it with left hand, and if it is at the right side, you use it with right hand. So they also drink tea or sip or even water bubbles, like bubbles, there's a pipe. So with the right hand or left hand, so you need to use both hands. So here also you can see Neil Armstrong, as soon as he returned back to Earth, he's interacting with his family, though he's quarantined, he's talking on the phone. So the phone, using phone with left hand, that is not a sure sign of left-handedness. But many of his colleagues and many of the people who worked at NASA, they say that we found he was using both hands. Especially, we may not say he was a total left-hander, but he used both hands for tasks. And so also the second man, that is astronaut Buzz Aldrin, I met him too, and we had an interaction. We had lunch with Buzz Aldrin. So it is said that on Moon also he did most of the experiments. And trust me, he was the one who worked more. He performed more experiments on Moon than Neil Armstrong also. But then the first man was Neil Armstrong, the second man Buzz Aldrin, and Michael Collins was, of course, piloting around. And Buzz Aldrin is left-handed. So also Jim Lovell, astronaut Jim Lovell, and in this particular experiment that he performed pre-mission, Apollo 13 mission, just before that. So in the desert and handling the lunar equipment, taking a scoop from the soil, and all these experiments had to be carried on Moon in the Apollo 13 mission, lunar landing. But some of you may know that the lunar mission, Apollo 13, never or could not land on Moon, but they had to come back to Earth, and they came in one piece. They came really safely. It would have turned into a hazard or a space accident. But then these real life heroes, Jim Lovell and his two teammates, crewmates, in the Apollo 13 mission, they went close to Moon. They never landed, but they came back to Earth safely. So in the Hawaii, island training site experiment, we can see these experiments that he conducted. In fact, he also went before Apollo Gemini missions also. In fact, among all the astronauts, Apollo astronauts, he had the maximum hours of flying and experience. So veteran naval aviator. So in NASA or any space agency for that matter, they'll accept you as an astronaut if you are an aviator or either from the Navy or from Air Force with pilot experience. So Sunita Williams is a US Navy Air Force officer, and so also was veteran naval aviator Jim Lovell, and some of them or maximum of them are the US Air Force or from Indian Air Force. Now Shubhanshu Shukla is the astronaut. So they may not be, all of them may not be right-handed or left-handed, but they certainly use both hands. Therefore they are ambidextrous, or they're trained to be ambidextrous. So even today, the real life hero Jim Lovell at 97, he's still active, and he's in touch with NASA, and we can see one of his iconic pictures. So I had the honor of meeting Dr. Tom at NASA Ames Research Center. He had worked with Kalpana Chawla in the space shuttle Columbia mission, but Kalpana Chawla and crewmates never made it back. That was the Columbia disaster. But when I went to meet some of the scientists and engineers, I was the first one to meet Dr. Tom. He told me he's left-handed as well. He must be retired now. So he is space engineer, and he worked at NASA Ames Center. So he was asking me, are you Indian? Are you Kalpana's sister? And such questions. We had a great interaction, and we spoke about left-handedness and ambidextrous use. So this is me using the tools during my NASA training at the simulator. So I went through mission simulation. Mission simulation, that is a precursor training to astronauts, but mine was NASA Honeywell Space Educators Program. So being an educator, I got trained. I'm singularly lucky to have visited NASA for training at my Marshal Space Flight Center, and then I went 7 times to NASA. So in this particular mission simulation, I was the mission engineer, and my training was successful. So there as well, even in the simulator, I observed that many of the tools, controls, the gadgets, they are at the left side or at the center. So it is pretty much easy for a left-hander, and I easily did all that stuff. So it was very interesting. It was fun. It was exciting. And now if we come to the computers and IT, AI, we know that AI is taking over so many of our tasks and jobs, and most of the tools are going to be ambidextrous in the future. So in fact, for left-handers, it is pretty much easy to adapt to this, because we can easily accept ambidextrous instruments and gadgets, whereas for right-handers it may be tough. So anyways, now in robotics also, some of you may have observed, or even in autopilot mode, be it a EV, a car or automobile or airplane, things are going to be controlled by computers and AI in the future. And in the absence of humans, in absence of human intervention, the machines will take over, and they could be, and they are going to be ambidextrous. So handedness and this polarized gadgets that I saw or I came across in my engineering training and my education, and then even in the laboratories that I used, they are becoming more and more ambidextrous. They were right-handed, in the earlier days, polarized or at the right side of your equipment. So you need to control the knobs, etc., the switches, they are at the right side. But more and more devices are becoming ambidextrous. Therefore, handedness and polarized gadgets could become uncommon in the future. And if not non-existent, at least they will become more and more favorable for ambidextrous use. And therefore, I feel that as an engineer, whatever I have experienced in the initial years, it was pretty much adapting to the, uh, you know, uh, I was busy adapting to the right-handed world. But then I was not able to use my right hand initially. But today I use both hands, which is now becoming more and more common. And earlier, the gist of my talk is that when I was studying in my school days and college days and my engineering training, I was using more and more gadgets and equipment at the right side, and I had to use the right knob, right hand for the knob and switches and all. But today we find them, they are at the center, some of them. And then it could be, if not at the left side, at least it is pretty much easy. And I have learned through my experience as an engineer, I did not sit complaining, I just used both hands. So if it is at the right side, use left hand like this. Even if it is challenging, I overcame that. So a bad
All right.
engineer blames the tools or blames the engines or blames the gadgets, they say. So as an engineer, I stopped complaining long back, and then I could overcome all this. And then today I'm here in front of you. Through my experience, I spoke, and I have what I have observed and what I have used, or if not used, I've seen the demonstration in aviation and spacecraft. So many of the tools are ambidextrous. So that is more exciting for me. And I'm sure the future is bright for left-handers. So no need to complain now. I'm sure we are going to get more and more better instruments and devices in the future, wherein there won't be any problem of adjusting the handedness. So here I come to the end of my talk, and that's what I want to acknowledge. That thanks to Bipin for giving me the opportunity. So as an engineer, I said I'll take up a talk or a topic that is more, apt for my experience. I have had struggle period, if not failures or rejection, but I struggled, but I did not complain. I bounced back. So I believe that we left-handers have more empathy. We understand others' problems. When I see a left-hander struggling, I ask, "Are you left-hander? Then you have a problem." Whereas right-handers say we did not even notice. So, any questions from anybody? who is interested in left-handed tools. Yes, in fact, Bipin would be the right person to address this also. We discussed once before, we had one member who was an industrialist. He passed away a couple of years ago. So Amrish Shah, he had an industry. So we wanted him to take up, he understood our problems and the plight being a left-hander himself. So we were looking for such patrons or industrialists who will come up with left-handed devices and gadgets. The common ones, at least cutters, left-handed scissors and peeler, and the minimum, at least basic, this kind of stuff. And to manufacture these gadgets at a low cost, or at least at reasonable cost. So this has been my urge since many years, but also our own profession, respective work keeps us busy in our own work. So I could not concentrate on this part, but I'm looking for someone who can, do the fabrication of such devices in kitchen, in lab, etc. Yes, over to Bipin. He has a question.
Thanks very much, Melina. Mr. Bipin, I see that you are eager and ready to be able to interact on this matter. May I just, before that, just appreciate inputs, and I'm gonna go to you to be able to add more inputs.
Sure.
There's a comment from Dr. Dipali. He says, brilliant insights on gadgets about space experience. And thank you, Leena. This one is on the Zoom platform. And if you're told there are other inputs also coming from Zoom, we would appreciate also just highlighting them for us, Mr. Bipin. But kindly go ahead.
Yes.
Mr. Bipin, you may go ahead.
Yes, thank you. I was also checking the comments in YouTube. There are appreciative comments. So thank you very much to the audiences for listening in, for appreciating our talks. And some of them have already sent me requests on email to join our association, to join this movement. So this is working. This is really
Great.
bringing some kind of a momentum. And really thankful to all the speakers for being a part of it. Leena, I have just one small question.
Yeah.
Left-handers definitely accommodate, adjust, try to merge and mend with the situation, which is a great capacity. But do you think we have many schools of design in India, right from NID to many? Do you think they need to consciously have at least a topic or a session or something like that, which enlightens the future designers to think about both-handedness, as you call ambidextrality, or you think that automatically they are thinking on those lines and we need not do anything?
Well, of course, Bipin, I agree with you. There's a lot of scope for us to incorporate in the syllabus also some knowledge and some experience. Like maybe we can come up with a session, like you said, the gadgets, especially where even 3D printers, and they're using more and more modern tools. Okay, so they do not even consider left-handers or left-handedness. So really, I guess, yeah, you're right. I guess we should approach the education department or the board of studies of these universities who run such courses like BDES and design, especially, and engineering, all fields, because we really need to consider. When I would do my Smithy workshop or the engineering first year carpentry and such stuff, I really struggled a lot initially. And damage of a piece means you will lose marks and you may fail in the exam. So there was that always a tension and the stress involved. Whereas I feel that even in the engineering schools, engineering colleges and business schools, or even if it's a theoretical subject, or especially like you said, even BDES and such design courses, we really need to incorporate in the lab session, because lot of lab practice, laboratory practical is involved here. Therefore, the left-handed students should not be left out, or they should really not struggle like what we experienced back then. But really we need to change, and we should have a dynamic education system wherein we need to incorporate such sessions or syllabus, either syllabus or even in the lab practice, or tools and equipment that need to be favorable for ambidextrous or left-handers. Yes, I agree with you. And on the similar lines, I guess we can approach SPPU or even MIT World Peace University or the local universities to begin with. Small baby steps, we could say.
Yes, and we should go there nationally and then globally, because globally many people are working on it. Especially like we are approaching pre-primary and primary education departments, we need to address this at a higher level also. Thank you very much for your speech, and hopefully we come together, we team up and create a kind of a syllabus or kind of a approach to be presented to these academic institutions. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Namaste.
Namaste.
Namaste, Leena and Mr. Bipin. It is so invigorating and so exciting to really hear from not just someone who has had an experience in the engineering field, in the astronomical field, but who's left-handed and who has had to be part of this journey, and today sharing with the world those nuggets of how we can make our world a better world. And what is also most appreciated is the fact that, you know, at grassroots level, even in the education space, we seem to not be learning from the astronomic and the NASA space, where ambidexterity is accommodated to be able to have gadgets that are working at that level. And we're in agreement that we need to take it to grassroots, take it to from primary and up the education system, so that then it will become part of a livelihood, instead of still the expense that gadgets are still sold at, and the challenges of the left-handed in the education system, in the everyday life scenario. But Melina, this has really been very empowering, and also for a woman leader in the space. I have to say that in South Africa, it is the month of women. So it is very timely that we are having this session. It would have been exciting to actually have you invited to speak in some of the platforms to be able to empower even the younger generation more and more. So thank you so much for the presentation and for all the resourcefulness, and Bipin also for the question that has inspired that we need to look at this, albeit local to even global, of how the education system should be accommodative and learn from even in the astronomical and in the engineering fields. And of course, lastly, making sure that the engineering arena begin to design for even those who are in the space of production, manufacturing of the gadgets, because that is what will also reduce the price when there are those who are designing for not just for profit, but for the good of the left-handers. And thank you so much.